Right, good morning, welcome back. Now, in a previous video, just gone by, I replaced these handlebar grips, and in so doing, I discovered that the clutch lever bracket's broken. The bottom half of it's completely broken off, and it needs to be replaced with a new one. Now, I can't get a new one because they're on back order. They're only £50, they're not massively expensive, but if you can't get one, they're just not available. I can't rely on just the top half of the clamp. That pivot in there is now flexing the clamp every time I pull it in, and you know that's going to leave you stranded somewhere out there in the world, probably as far away from home as possible. So I'm going to whip it off, strip the paint off, put it on the bench and see if using these Duraflex soldering rods, if I can actually repair it and put it back on the bike strong enough to use until the new one arrives. Wish me luck. Let's see how we get on. Right, there we are, that's the joint ready to go back together. And if you take a close look at it, it's absolutely perfect. It's like a piece of snapped porcelain, just goes straight back together and it's almost invisible. But unfortunately that won't work. I can't solder that like that because if I just blob it along the top, well, it won't go down inside the joint. It will just fall off. I've got to bevel out that joint. I've got to make a little V-valley for that solder metal to flow along and sit in a nice solid joint so it's really strong. I can file the top of it down afterwards, but as long as lots of metal's got down inside. So as I file that out, the file that I'm going to use, the first job is to give it a good clean because it's been used for all sorts. And if I contaminate that joint, it's going to further weaken it in the future. So let's clean the file, get that beveled out, then set it up, ready to weld. Right, first fail of the day. I didn't expect this to go well, I've got to say. The piece that had broken off was 2mm thick cast aluminium. No flexibility in that whatsoever. And as you saw, heating it up, it curled in on itself like a little dry leaf. And the first attempt to try and straighten that, it just cracked clean off and cracked in half. So now I've got 2 joints to solder up instead of 1. I'm going to make one more attempt to solder this back into one piece, so I've got a clutch pivot for my bike. Otherwise, this bike is off the road until the new part arrives or until I can find a second-hand one. So wish me luck. Let's see one more time if I can make this work. Right, there we are. That's a conclusive fail. The first attempt to solder that back on, curled it round on itself. I had to straighten it, which broke it. Obviously, it's cast pot metal. And then the second attempt to try and weld the 3 pieces together, it just vaporized it, turned it into 6 pieces. That's it. I think obviously these soldering rods, to get the rod to flow, the parent metal needs to be about 400 degrees or more. And I don't think this metal can take that much temperature. It just did what you saw. It just blew apart and the rod was still scratching dry. It wasn't even hot enough to get the rod to flow. So this metal just can't take it. And I'm not even sure whether you could TIG weld that because it is cheap cast pot metal and it's very thin. So if you get one of these broken, don't waste your time, just chuck it out, get a new one. I've got a new one on order. I'm just gonna have to put this to one side, put the bike to one side and wait for the new part to turn up. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, ride safe. I'll see you next time.